Imagine finally unlocking the door to your dream home, the kind of place you've screamed and saved for years to call your own. You're hauling in boxes, buzzing with excitement, when out of nowhere, a woman in mismatched pajamas storms over, clutching a notepad like it's a badge of honor, and accuses you of breaking into your own house. Sounds like a wild story you'd laugh off, right? I thought so too until it happened to me. Let me take you back to that crisp September morning in 2024, when my life in the quiet suburb of Maplewood Heights turned into a battle I never saw coming. My name's Ethan Carter, a soft-spoken software engineer who'd spent 5 years in a shoebox apartment, coding late nights to afford a place like this. Maplewood Heights was picture-perfect neatly trimmed hedges, identical mailboxes, the kind of neighborhood where kids ride bikes until dusk. I'd rented a moving truck with my buddy Jake Sullivan, a carpenter who'd been hyping me up about finally setting up my dual monitor coding station. We were halfway through unloading speakers blasting classic rock, boxes of tech gear stacked high when she appeared. Olivia Grant, my next-door neighbor, marched across her lawn in a garish lime green pajama set dotted with cartoon pineapples, her hair a chaotic nest, and a pair of worn-out slippers flapping with every step. She held that notepad like it was a courtroom gavel, her eyes narrowing as she sized us up. Jake leaned over and muttered, "Man, what's her deal?" I stifled a laugh, but the absurdity of her get-up didn't prepare me for what came next. Olivia planted herself in front of our truck, her voice sharp enough to cut glass. "I need to know what's happening here," she demanded, scribbling furiously as she peered into my boxes. She pointed at my ergonomic chair like it was contraband, then criticized how we'd stacked crates on the porch. "This doesn't look right for Maplewood Heights," she declared, as if my desk somehow offended the neighborhood so. My stomach twisted. This wasn't just a nosy neighbor, this was someone who thought she owned the right to control my life. I set down a box, flashed my friendliest smile, and introduced myself. "Hey, I'm Ethan, just bought this place. Moving in today. Love the vibe here." I figured she'd back off, maybe even apologize. Instead, Olivia's eyes narrowed further. "I need documentation," she snapped, waving her notepad. "I'm Olivia Grant, Maplewood Heights HOA liaison. We take security seriously." Security. In pineapple pajamas. I almost laughed, but the way she started snapping photos of my stuff muttering about standards and suspicious behavior made my skin crawl. Neighbors peeked from their windows, but no one stepped in. The air felt heavy, like a storm was brewing. Olivia circled our truck, jotting notes, questioning every box. "Why so many electronics?" she demanded, eyeing my labeled PC part crate like it held stolen goods. I explained I was a coder, that this was my work, but she just kept writing, her pen scratching like a warning. When she finally stormed off, I thought that was the end of it. I was wrong. 30 minutes later, sirens wailed down the street. Jake and I froze, exchanging a look. "No way that's for us," he said, but my gut churned. Sure enough, a police cruiser pulled up right in front of my house. Olivia burst out of her place, still in those ridiculous pajamas, waving her notepad like a battle flag. "Officer, thank God you're here," she cried, as if she'd caught us mid-heist. Officer Daniel Hayes, a no-nonsense guy with a decade on the force, stepped out, looking weary. Olivia launched into a wild tale, painting Jake and me as master criminals looting the house in broad daylight. "Their patterns are irregular," she insisted, citing her notepad like it was a CIA dossier. I handed over my ID, closing papers, and keys, my hands shaking with a mix of anger and disbelief. Officer Hayes reviewed everything, his face unreadable, then turned to Olivia. "Ma'am, their paperwork's legit. They own this place." But Olivia doubled down, insisting the documents were fake, demanding a full investigation. Hayes sighed, a flicker of recognition in his eyes. "MS. Grant, we've talked about confirming facts before calling us, haven't we?" That's when I realized this wasn't her first rodeo. The officer left, and I thought the nightmare was over. But a week later, I came home to a manila envelope taped to my door, stamped with "Official HOA Violation Notice" in angry red ink. Inside were fines totaling $400 for nonsense like my overly modern blinds, a two-board welcome mat, and porch packages left out for 3 hours. Each citation felt like a slap, designed to make me feel like an outsider in my own home. The thought of Olivia prowling my property, nitpicking every detail, made my blood boil. I felt exposed, like she'd stripped away the safety of my new beginning. That night, I knocked on the door of Margaret Ellis, a retired attorney across the street who'd vouched for me during the police fiasco. Over coffee, Margaret laid it out. Olivia had crowned herself the HOA's enforcer, terrorizing residents with petty fines. She's been at it for months, Margaret said, showing me a stack of notices from others, fines for unapproved flower pots, kids' toys in driveways, even holiday lights hung a day early. It wasn't just me. Olivia was a bully, and the HOA president, Nathan Lee, was too spineless to stop her. That's when I decided to fight back. I'm a coder. I solve problems for a living. Olivia wasn't just a nuisance, she was a glitch in the system, and I was going to debug her. I installed security cameras, motion sensors, and a cloud-based filing system to log every move she made. I treated her violations like data points, cataloging dates, claims, and photographic proof that her rules were bogus. Then Jake dropped a bombshell. His truck's dash cam had caught Olivia talking to another neighbor after the police left. I don't care if he's legit, she hissed. He doesn't belong here, and I'll make his life miserable until he's gone. That audio was my ace in the hole. Proof her campaign was personal, not procedural. Digging deeper, I found that chilled me. Public records showed Olivia had lost custody of her son after a messy divorce, with court citing her erratic behavior. Margaret helped me contact Olivia's old HOA, where she'd been ousted for similar tactics, harassing families until some moved away. Worse, she'd been slapped with a restraining order for stalking her replacement. This wasn't just a control freak, this was someone unraveling, using the HOA to claw back power. My cameras caught her next move, a 2-hour inspection with 2 recruited neighbors, measuring my mailbox height and photographing my shrubs, racking up $900 in new fines. But she didn't know I was recording every second of her trespassing. The breaking point came when Olivia called an emergency HOA meeting to expel me, claiming I was a disruptive influence. The community center was packed, the tension electric. Olivia, now in a crisp blazer, delivered a sleek presentation, twisting every incident to paint me as a menace. Neighbors nodded, some out of fear, others buying her act. Then it was my turn. I played the dashcam audio, her venomous words echoing in the silent room. I laid out her embezzlement $9,000 siphon from HOA funds for fake consulting and her divorce lawyer's fees. I showed the restraining order from her past, her pattern of terrorizing communities. One by one, neighbors stood up, sharing their own stories of her bullying. The room turned on her. Nathan called a vote, and every hand shot up to strip Olivia of her HOA role. She screamed, vowing revenge, but her power was shattered. 3 days later, the fallout was glorious. The HOA's audit confirmed her theft, leading to felony charges. Her ex-husband's lawyer used the meeting records to further limit her custody. Her reputation tanked, and she was forced to sell her house under mounting legal fees. The new owners, the Rivera family, a vibrant couple with 2 kids, brought warmth to the street Olivia had tried to gatekeep. Their block party was a celebration of freedom, with neighbors laughing like they'd been holding their breath for years. I was elected to the HOA board, pushing policies that prioritize community over control. My stand against Olivia even caught the eye of tech firms, landing me better gigs. Most importantly, I found a home, not just a house, but a place where Margaret taught me gardening, the Riveras invited me to barbecues, and Jake's game nights became legendary. 6 months later, I heard Olivia tried her tricks at her new apartment complex but was evicted after tenants, tipped off by her Maplewood infamy, shut her down. Sitting in my office now, watching the Rivera kids play and Margaret tend her roses, I'm grateful. Olivia's war forced me to find courage I didn't know I had, to build bonds I'd never have forged. She thought she'd break me, but she made me stronger. So, what do you think? Did I go too far exposing Olivia, or was it justice served? Have you ever faced a neighborhood tyrant who pushed you to your limit? Should HOA boards have more oversight to stop power-hungry types like her, or are they just breeding grounds for drama? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button if you're Team Ethan, and subscribe for more stories where the underdog flips the script. Let's keep this fight alive in the comments.